What's up, folks? We are back. Hello. All is well in the world again. How is everyone doing? I love seeing all the red multicat monsters. So when you're a YouTube member, and if you're a multicat monster, what happens is as time goes on, you level up to different colors for the cat that's next to your name. Takes some time, but it works. You can see me over here. That way. No, this way. This way. I'm still figuring out the whole camera thing. It's this way. I'm going to put up here Money Puck so that you can see kind of as I talk about them. You can see the Brandon can't join today. Apologies on that. He's with his kid. Told him to kind of take the day off, be with his kid today. I would handle it. So hopefully you guys don't mind it being only me. Brandon might jump into the chat at some point. Maybe jump in at some point here for the video. See, this is why I have a hat on today. Rafa Nadal, let's go. So yeah, start throwing your questions out. I'll have Money Puck over here on the side so that you can see kind of how. Let's center this here for you. So then, when I'm referencing, especially with goaltenders, a lot of times when I'm referencing is Money Puck. So if Money Puck has the team winning, normally Money Puck and the other person that I use a lot is Scott Cullen. If Scott Cullen and Money Puck tend to agree a little bit, then I'll go with that. But that's the person that I double check. Let me see if I can pull them up. This is a little screen here, so you may not be able to see everything that happens. I don't know if Scott Cullen put out his projections yet for today, but he puts out his percentages every day. Oh, this is taking forever, huh? Let's see. Here we go. So this is what I also reference whenever I don't know if clicking on it is going to be a good idea actually because the screen is all small. Nope, it's a terrible idea. So, anyways, if you go to Scott Cullen as well, I'll post a link actually to this. If you don't want to use Money Puck, this is the other one that I use a lot. Just posted a link in the chat. But if you don't want to use Money Puck, this is the other option to use for percentages. Is that Scott Cullen link? So I'm going to get to some questions here in a second. Let me just set up my screen here. To be entirely honest, I was late a little bit because I was pooping. Yep, I think we're all on that level now. That's why I was a little late. Apologies. So let's actually have no music or Brandon to listen to. So, and we got a super chat. So a little rule in the chat here. So we take all multi-cat monster questions first. So if you're a YouTube member, we take those first. And we also take super chats first. So if you're in a rush or whatever, or just want to be nice and give some money, those are the ones we jump into first. So here we go. So because not really a sit start playing Brandon in a listener league next week, any pickup suggestions for util spot? Yeah, so there's a few teams that have really good schedules. So the first one is going to be the New York Islanders next week have a really good schedule. They have 3 off nights, so I really like Josh Bailey. I really like Anthony Beauvillier. They'll be at the top of my short-term suggestions for next week for sure. Those two have been playing really, really well. On top of that, they have 3 off nights. So they got all the off nights. So Anthony Beauvillier and Josh Bailey are my favorites. Aside from that, I'm pretty sure Anaheim also has some off nights. So Silverberg is a somewhat interesting option. Not my favorite of everyone that's going to be out there and available next week, but Silverberg does stand out to me. But beating Brandon with Islanders is definitely a power move, and I totally am for it, and I would suggest it, honestly. Okay, so let's jump up here to the top, and yeah, so all the red cats in here now. I think red is after a month of YouTube member support, your thing turns red. I think so. You start with green, then you move up to red, and I'll let you find out what the other ones are. Okay, so let's jump back up to the top of the chat here and take some more questions. So I'm also going to refresh over here because I like having one chat stream that's at the top, one chat stream that's at the bottom. Okay, let's see. So who's out here? So Karsten, good morning, gentlemen. Hope your weekend goes well. Just wanted your thoughts on the trade I made today. Traded away Jari and grabbed Olofsson at the points league. Love it. Olofsson is Golofsson for a reason. I think he's going to pick up right where he left off. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Okay, what's the next one here from Samir? Olafson, Connor, and Perron, best to worst rest of season. Uh, I would probably say, honestly, I might say Connor, Perron, Olafson, in my opinion. Only because Olafson is streaky. He's mostly goals. So that's why I put Olafson last there. And then another question from Samir. Klingberg, Suter rather, and Slavin, best to worst rest of season. That's a tough one. With those settings, I probably go Suter, Klingberg, Slavin. Probably. The thing with Klingberg is he's just really streaky. If you remember back to the unsustainable episode, I talked about Klingberg, and pretty much the thing with Klingberg is he's worth it, but he is a gamble because you're betting on ice shooting percentage for Dallas. If on ice shooting percentage is high, he's like a 60-point guy. So if it's around 10-ish% for on ice shooting percentage, then in that case, Klingberg all of a sudden becomes more of like a 60-point guy. If the shooting percentage is more like 8%, which is where Dallas tends to kind of trend, then he's more of a 45-point guy. So it depends on whether you can actually handle that swing or not. I'm in first place in my points league. I'm still holding Klingberg just because that swing is really worth it for me. If come playoff time, I can have a 60-point guy, that's okay. He's my worst defenseman on the team, so if he's a 45-point guy, that's also fine because I just want that upside. It's pretty hard to find a 60-point upside defenseman on the wire, especially this time of year. This is from Reliable. 10-team standard roto league looking to improve hits. Currently have Reeves, but thinking of picking up Nurse instead. Less hits upside, but better everything else upside. What do you guys think? I like it, honestly. I like the idea of grabbing Nurse. The other thing I like, too, is that it opens up. Anytime you can replace a forward with a defenseman slot for peripherals, I usually like that, especially now, because what ends up happening is pretty much... You get that forward slot for points now, whereas that defenseman spot right now, for example, if you have Reeves in your forward spot, you probably are looking at that defenseman for points upside, but you're going to get much more points upside from a forward pickup than a defenseman pickup. So I like that swap of Reeves for Nurse, even though the hits are a big gap. Still, that's not it's worth it just because you're going to have better options for streaming it from a forward slot. And then I have let me make sure I didn't miss any multi-cat monster questions here. Okay, so I have Brandon Ford here. What's your take on Zucker's value? I know Brandon isn't on the Zuck train right away. So yeah, neither of us are really on the Zucker train right away. I know he did score 2 goals last night. Of course, that's going to happen, as always. But the thing is, I think that it's a little iffy. There's a chance he can be really, really good, but he's going to be limited in upside if he's not playing on that power play. If he's not getting that top power play, which honestly, I'm going to check right now if he's actually on that top power play, because to be completely honest, I'm not sure if he is or not, or if he did last game play there. And he's playing with Crosby, so that's a big help for him. But you just got to play it by ear. I think, for example, we saw in Cupful someone paid $40 free agent acquisition budget dollars on Jason Zucker, and I just felt like that was way too much. It's just way too much of a gamble right now. Granted, it's a high upside gamble, so if you're towards the top, then maybe it's worth it. But I didn't rush to pick him up for anyone that I had. I really liked where my team was at, and I didn't make any very reactionary drops or ads. I still think that when you're looking at it from the perspective of just maxing out starts, I think that's going to matter more than Jason Zucker personally. And he did not play on the top power play. He played on the second power play with Dominic Simone and Jared McCann. So again, that upside is limited to 5-on-5 time. And even then, he actually didn't even play the majority of time at 5-on-5. The 2 lines that played the most were the Tanev, Bluger, Zach Aston Reese line, and then the Malkin, McCann, and Russ line. And then he played 13% with Simone and Crosby, and then he played another like 6% with Crosby and Hornquist. So I would say, and they weren't actually the best line 5-on-5. The best line 5-on-5 is the Malkin, McCann, Rust line, who had a 55 or 56% Corsi 4 percentage, which matters to coaches because that's where you're going to get more minutes, right? If you have a good line, if you're producing well, then in that situation, you're going to get more time, and that's the line that's going to get put out more. So right now, the Rust line is looking to be the best line. So we got a new YouTube member. Thank you to Karsten for joining YouTube member. You're a multi-cat monster. Let's go. Love the multi-cat monsters. And you're in green, so you'll see yours turn red slowly as we have more YouTube members and more time now with the YouTube members. you'll see that they change. So you'll see what more colors come out here. So let's see what other questions here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any more questions here for Multicat and Monsters. Good, great to hear that your lineup is perfect today, Terry. And then Bill the Iturondo asked a question here. So no, I know you're sour on Jari. Qdoban seems to be used less and less lately. Qdoban is going to play one of the 2 games this weekend, but going forward in the coming weeks, which of those 2 do you think is a better option to keep versus stream? I still think I'd keep Jari personally, just because. So if you realize what you said, right? So if it's true that Qdoban's going to get less and less starts, which I believe will be the case. If Qdoban gets less and less starts, what that means is that he's probably going to be on the wire more often than not. Whereas Jari might be in more of a split. And so if he's going to be more in a split with Murray, which I think is the case of what will happen, then what you're going to see there and what you want is you want the guy who's not going to be on the wire. And that would be Jari. If you were to drop Jari, he'd get picked up. If you were to drop Qdoban, he'd probably sit on the wire and you'd be able to grab him whenever you need that goalie stream. So I'd rather keep Jari right now until you really need to make the swap, and then you could grab Qdoban. But I don't think people are going to be rushing to grab Qdoban anytime soon, unless, of course, when he's playing. Okay, so now let's move back up to the top and start taking some more questions here. So we got to reliable. So if those are wondering, Brandon is not here. Told him to kind of take the day off, be with his kid for the morning, because I think he had his kids. His wife went out, so he's with the kids. So I told him to just take the day off and be with him. So he might jump into the chat at some point, but for now, it's just me. So Sean Cook, Vince Dunn, a good pickup for the next 2 days. Sure, St. Louis has a solid schedule. Not maybe my favorite option in the world. I mean, if Parayko's out there, Parayko's a better option, but Parayko's pretty highly owned. For some reason, he's been highly owned all year. But Vince Dunn isn't a bad one. Are Elvis and Korpisalo still the better duo than the Islander guys now that Seth Jones and Atkinson are injured long-term? Yeah, I don't think that matters too much. So Atkinson was injured long-term for a while, and Korpisalo was doing really well, and Elvis was also doing really well while Atkinson was out, so I don't worry too much about Atkinson. Seth Jones is a little bit of a worry, for sure, especially with how much of a minute cruncher he is. But at the end of the day, I think that it's their system that's playing well, right? So I don't think, sure, Seth Jones adds to that system in a big, big way. But at the end of the day, to me, it's just that the system in general plays really, really well. It doesn't really matter too much what defenseman you throw in there. They're all going to kind of be good at this point because that's just kind of how it seems it's been working. Okay, so what's the next one here? So Shattenkirk or Spurgeon for the last couple of weeks? Spurgeon by a mile all day. Shattenkirk is droppable in virtually every league at this point. Banger League, Nylander or Taves? I would go Nylander. I like his positions more, and I actually like his upside way more than I like Taves' upside. So I would take Nylander. Palmieri or Hyman for a points league? This is from NL. Probably Palmieri, honestly. I'd probably do Palmieri. And it's close. They're similar. I think they both have upside on certain. Honestly, it kind of depends on schedule. Like, I wouldn't be married to either one. But yeah, I wouldn't be married to either Palmieri or Hyman, especially if, like, say, you make the playoffs and they're your worst forwards and you're not getting as many starts as you'd like. I would drop either one, but I think I would go Palmieri over Hyman personally. I traded Olofsson for Meyer at week 11 per your advice. How can I forgive you? To be fair, I traded Zvech for Meyer really early on. Meyer's been good recently, though. Meyer's been really, really good. I think at the end of the day, too, with those trades, especially with guys like Olofsson, it's always... I maybe would have aimed a little high. I think I would have aimed higher by week 11 than Meyer, personally. But I think you'll be okay. I mean, you probably made out okay for the most part just because Olofsson was injured for so long that... not that Meyer did much in that time that he was out, but Meyer recently has been good. Meyer could actually be a big boon come playoff time just because the Sharks have so many injuries, and right now Meyer's been playing well. So... This is from Jamie Mack now. Greetings, start 2. Armia, Mantha, Meyer. I need all the stats. Goals, assists, shots on goal, and hits. So I think in this situation, I'd probably go Armia because I like what he's been doing. I wouldn't play Mantha just because they're against Boston. I'd probably go Armia and Meyer here, just because Mantha's against Boston. Look at that percentage of, look at that chance of winning. Oh my God. Somehow, so Detroit has. It's all good, Johnny. Don't worry. I know it's a joke. We all make those trades, and honestly, sometimes I laugh at my own advice that I gave before. So, anyways, Detroit has a 25% chance of winning against Boston, which is crazy because most of their points have come against Boston this season. They have their number somehow, but I don't think they're going to have their number today. I would not start. I would rather start Armia and Meyer there. Nathaniel with the shakeup in Minnesota. Think they keep Dubnyk or looking to a trade for a goalie. So actually, people forget that I forget his name, but Minnesota actually has a really good goaltender in the pipeline. Is it Kakinen? It might be Capo Kakinen, but they have some really good goalie prospects in the system. So I don't think they're actually going to trade for a goaltender. I think they're going to look to the future. Maybe they pick up someone that in the meantime can play. Like Georgiev could be interesting because in 2 years he's in a split with whoever the next goaltender is up for them. But I don't think they're going to look to get some kind of long-term goaltender. Although who knows? Honestly, Minnesota is always like in this state of you should be rebuilding, yet you don't, and you just keep sticking with the players that you have. So they might end up doing that. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to throw the video or stream a like, thumbs up if you enjoy it. Which I mean, if you're watching this, if you're tuning into a live stream, 9 a.m. on the morning on the West Coast, I'm gonna guess you like it. So a like would be appreciated, and it helps. Why not? And also gives you something to do. So the next one here from Philip, Brady Tkachuk projections this season or next. High volume shooter, it seems, but not great support. Yeah, so that would be my. I would say points wise next year, especially. I think he stays kind of the same as where he's at this year. He just doesn't have a system around him. A very good supporting cast, and the issue is that when you don't have a good supporting cast, like you suffer in on a shooting percentage, which gives you a which reduces your chance of assists, especially. And so I would say, like, I like him a lot. I don't know if I use him as a keeper simply because the most value you're going to get from a guy like Brady is from his peripherals. And peripherals are the easiest things to make up in a draft, especially for a keeper league. So, like, I have keep 5. I have Brady Tkachuk, but I'm not going to be keeping Brady just because you can make up those peripherals elsewhere. I'd rather keep points. I like keeping guys who have a big mix. So, like, I like Zibanejad, for example, who gets you a lot of peripherals plus points and has really crazy point upside with peripherals. That's great. But a guy like Brady, if he has a slump year, has a down year, which is possible just because of the supporting cast around him, he gets into a lot of trouble because now you have a guy who's peripheral mostly. Think of Timo Meyer, right? Yeah, the points upside is there, but if the team slumps, he's going to slump, and now you're in a little bit of trouble because that was your keeper. So, and he's getting you things that you could have gotten on the wire or gotten later in the draft. So that's the only thing with a guy like Brady is I don't mind wasting a high draft pick on him come keeper time, but I don't like using a keeper spot on him. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, even in my keeper league, he's ranked top 20 for me, which is what I had him projected as in my league through my projections that I built out. And he's there, but I still wouldn't use a keeper on him just because the risk is there, right? If you fall off those points, those projections fall. He falls a lot in projections. So he ended up going, I think, like 3rd round or 2nd round of my keeper league after all the keepers. So he went way lower than I expected. I think if you go back and watch the draft video of my keeper league, you'll see that I was just ecstatic to get Brady Tkachuk. I didn't think he was going to get to me, and I ended up getting really excited. Let's see. What is the next one here? So Matt Lauren, I have a surplus of forwards and needing an extra defenseman before fantasy playoffs. So I traded Bjorkstrand for Ryan Ellis. What are your thoughts? I'm assuming Ellis will be back soon. I like it a lot. Honestly, I don't know much about Ellis's injury. I don't own Ellis in any league, so I haven't really paid attention that much to what his injury has been, and I've just kind of paid attention to when he's gonna come back. I listened to Brandon honestly for on his injury report to learn about injuries. But I'm assuming he'll be back soon. The few things I've read, I've seen that it seems he's close. He's skating, so I like that move a lot, especially if you need defensemen. And Bjorkstrand is a great one because while he's great, I like Ellis's upside from a defenseman perspective more than Bjorkstrand. And at worst, I think they cancel out, and it's pretty even. But you gain a forward slot, which is huge. Okay, Josh Zadig, Sit Vasi at Philly and Grubauer at LA. I'm up 980 to 957 in save percentage. up by 1 in goals against average, and tied 3-3 in wins and 1-1 in shutouts. He has 3 starts, 2 against Detroit and Anaheim. Jesus. So this one's a weird one because on one hand, I would say sit both and take the goals against average and save percentage. But that being said, you're also so ahead in save percentage, and they need to start, that you might be okay starting here, one of them. But those are probably famous last words. I would say it depends on how the rest of the matchup is going. If you think that you're going to win the matchup with your other skater categories and you don't really need the other two, you don't need wins, then I would just sit tight. If you think you're going to drop skater stats, you might as well just go for it. You're really risking one category for or I guess 2 categories for one. I would maybe go for it. I mean, Vasi is at Philly is probably a good start, just because Vasilevsky's been so good. I don't know if I trust Grubauer, even though it's Los Angeles. So I would say it depends on your skater categories. I'd say if you're up in skater categories or you think you'll tie overall, don't do it. If you think you're going to lose, why not? It also depends where you're at in the standings. If every single category matters, then I would just bench probably no matter what, because it's not worth the risk. This is from, and then the next one here, Eric Engelhart. Drop 2 to activate Stamkos and Olofsson. Cats League, Fiala, Yamamoto, Vrana, Deneau, Armia, Trouba. Could add Spurgeon or Chikrin next week. So you don't have blocks, which means I'd probably drop Trouba, actually. Without blocks, Trouba is not very valuable. I know he gets some hits, but you have guys like Armia for that. And then I think aside from that, I mean, Vrana's just been shooting so much, but you don't have shots. Yeah, so I would drop Trouba and maybe drop Deneau, I think. Yeah, I'd drop Deneau because you're getting Stamkos back at center. So yeah, I'd drop Deneau and Trouba, Eric. Just because Deneau, not that much upside, to be honest. He's good, but just not a lot of upside. Wow, I'm really bright today. I didn't change my camera settings. Oops. My bad on that. Yep, didn't change my camera settings. Okay, what's the next one here? The next one, let me make sure also I'm not missing any multi-cap monster questions or super chats. Doesn't look like it. Okay, what's the next one here from Matthew McCormick? Oh wait, no, hold on. Nathaniel. So Nathaniel asked, Chikrin, Hanifin, Spurgeon available in D for my FA pool. Would you give up Provorov or Murphy for either? So I would do, I like Spurgeon quite a bit. I also like Hanifin, to be honest. It kind of depends what you need. I mean, I like Murphy for peripherals, obviously. If you're looking for points specifically, I would drop Provorov. Yeah, if you're looking for points, I would drop Provorov, personally. And probably grab Spurgeon, especially for today. Because he's playing against San Jose, and San Jose sucks very bad. This is from Mitchell Blake. Goaltending question. I have Vasilevsky as my number 1, but trying to decide on a number 2 to stick with rest of season. And moving forward in a keeper league between Hart, Elvis, and Prince Igor. Thoughts? Wow. I would go Hart. I don't think... I love Prince Igor. I really do. But the thing is that, let's say, right, just for the sake of conversation here, well, not even for the sake of conversation, let's just put it this way. The Rangers are this year's Calgary Flames. Inflated shooting percentages and just getting a lot of luck on their side. If that falls through next year, which I would assume it does, I think we could see Igor kind of not have that great of a save percentage next year and struggle. I wouldn't be surprised if it's below like a 910 or just around that 910 mark, especially with sorry, Matthew, I'll go to you right now really quick. But yeah, I would go Hart, just a little bit more proven. I like the team around him better. I think they're ready. Or I think they're just a better team, whereas the Rangers are still in flux. There's a lot of changes. There's not going to be Kreider next year, most likely. There could be a lot of new faces next year on the Rangers. I love Shesterkin. I love him to death, but I would rather go with proven Hart at this point. And Elvis, the thing is, you don't know what can happen next year as well. Again, first year, whereas Hart now we have a few seasons under his belt. I don't know. That's weird. It's not working. I'm gonna just keep talking, and I guess people can tell me when the robot voice is on. I'm not sure why the robot voice. Oh, you know what it might be actually. How's I mean, it's funny too because it gets a little bit delayed. Volume really low robot voice. I think I know what happened. I'm actually gonna check my. I'm gonna listen to it and see if it's just. Okay, I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Oh, oh, I don't know. It sounds fine on my. It sounds fine on my side. That's weird. Oh, is it? That's gonna double. That's weird. Um, so how's the robot voice now, folks? You still the robot voice? Ah, it sucks that I'm behind too. Because then by the time you guys tell me yes or no, um, it's like a minute has passed. I'm gonna just drink my water here. Well, it's really weird that it did that. I'm trying to figure out why it would have. Robot voice still activated. That's so weird. Hmm, that's so weird. I know what happened. Something is. So this has been. One second, folks. Yep, that's how it feels. Um, I mean, let's do this really quick. So this is gonna sound awful. I'm switching to my. Oh, that's loud. I'm switching to my in. Switching to my in camera or in computer microphone, which is gonna sound awful. So apologies. But in the meantime, that should fix it. I think. Um, um, oh wow, it's just the whole computer. Okay, so fingers crossed that this works. We'll see. Had to restart the stream. It does. It worked. We did it. We did it, folks. Apologies. Apologies. I don't know what the hell happened. How is it doubling? No, it's not. Okay, good. We're good. Sorry, folks. I weird thing recently. My computer's been doing this weird thing recently where the clock gets out of sync. So, yeah. What is the logo on my hat? The logo on my hat is the Rafa Nadal logo. So this is why I'm wearing a hat for one. But Nadal. So Rafa. I'm a tennis fan as well. And Rafa is my guy. Which, if anyone's a Federer fan, I'm going to make them very angry. Sweet. So we are back. Okay. So we have 15 minutes until game start. So let's jump through some more here. So I was talking about Connor Murphy. I like Connor Murphy quite a bit. I would still hold. I'll turn up my audio right here so that it's a little louder. I'm a little bit far from my mic. So Connor Murphy's still good for blocks. I would say he's really consistent, which is what I like, as opposed to other people maybe have higher ceilings. But Connor Murphy's probably one of the most consistent guys when it comes to the Bengals. Samir, start 2 for tomorrow. Halak at the Rangers, Elvis at New Jersey, Q Dubin at Ottawa. What to do there? So let's take a look at tomorrow really quick. I'm going to fast forward here to see who's out there tomorrow. So Halak at the Rangers has a 50% chance. Elvis has a 49%. And then there is Q Dubin against Ottawa. I don't know why they have such bad. So I would probably personally do Halak and Elvis, I think. And then bench Q Dubin. That's probably what I'd do for that. Let's go back to today's games though, because that's more important. Much more important. Okay, so now where did my chat window go? Where'd my chat window go? Ah! There it is. Okay. Where to upgrade? If we're let me get to some of these other questions here really quick. So, yeah, Rafa Philo Spaniard from I think he's from Malaga, right? I'm pretty sure Malaga is where he's from. Okay, what's the next one? Need to drop Bjork, Rust, or Lindholm to take Mantha off IR. Ooh, that's tough. If you're doing that, though, I'd drop Bjork. I would keep Rust and Lindholm. Domi versus Hyman rest of season. Hyman. That's from Uton. Kobe Hockey Nick. So many injuries right now. I have Gio on IR, dropping Jones because of injury, putting Kadri on IR, and Borietsky out indefinitely. Just traded for him 2 weeks ago. That's brutal. I traded Borietsky to Brandon. Very happy about that. Very, very happy. Gerard or McAvoy, keep in Bangers League. McAvoy. Don't love either, but I like McAvoy. Okay. So let's find again here. Let's scroll up. I'm behind today, folks. Now that Sagan has broken the goal drought, do you think we see a hot stretch? I really hope so. I mean, he finally got the monkey off his back, which is good. So I would hope so, but we'll see. I hope he turns it around here. This is from Dale Wells. Hey, fellas, I have Price and Riddick. I've been playing for goals against average and save percentage. Should I drop one and play the wire for a spot start and or stream in a forward for the rest of the season? It depends how many starts you have. So if you only have 3 starts a week, you probably can get away with only having Price, for example, or only having Riddick. I would rather have only Price. But I would, if you only have 3 starts, I think you can do that, where you only have Price, you stream in when you need to. Again, a lot of it also comes down to what's available on the wires. Q Dubin on your wire, for example, is Halak on your wire. Like, who's out there that you can use that will help out a lot. And if there's nobody out there, then you kind of have to keep Riddick. But if there's people out there for you, then I think you can do just Price and stream in as a forward and kind of stream as you need. Mark D, Bangers League, Tatar, Olofsson, and Kucherov are coming back from IR. My first drop is Suzuki, but for the next 2, it's between Ryan Strome, Foligno, Raquel, or Gaudreau. Which 2 would you drop? So I would probably go... Suzuki's a good drop because you have Tatar already. I would probably go Strome and Raquel, personally. I kind of like what Foligno's doing, but it does depend on... if you need the Bangos. If you don't need the Bangos, I would probably go Foligno, Raquel, and hold on to Strome for now. Although Raquel had a little bit of a good... Raquel had a pretty good run. Let's see, who is next here? Skafku, 27. Who would you drop, Elliott or Demko? Head-to-head cats with goals against average, save percentage, saves, shutouts. Considering my other goalies are Hart, Markstrom, and Murray. I got Brandon's take, but wanted to hear yours. So my take would be to drop Elliott. I like the Demko Markstrom stack more. Also, I would don't know who's out there for you. Also, I would debate dropping both, to be honest. Demko is not a majority starter. Elliott isn't a majority starter. So neither one really adds that many saves for you. They just add an occasional start here and there. I think you're really solid with Hart, Markstrom, and Murray, and then you can stream if you really need a goaltender at some point. But because you have wins, goals against, and save percentage as like your big three, that means that really you're sacrificing right now. You're sacrificing 2 forward slots or 2 skater slots for the sake of one category. That's pretty much all you're doing. Now, I get that like wins is also there, but they're not majority starters, so they don't really add much in wins either. So really, you're holding 2 extra goaltenders solely for one category. Forget about shutouts. And I personally wouldn't advise that. So I would personally drop both. But if you were only going to drop one, I would drop Elliott. That's what I would do. Sean Lyon, I know it's probably Leon, but I'm going to say Lyon. Kopitar, Colorado, or Larkin at Boston with standard Yahoo Cats. So today the Kings play against Colorado. Ooh, and today's the outdoor game, right? So for that reason, I'm going Larkin at Boston. He's the guy. I'm not huge on outdoor games for points, so I would do Larkin. Got an interesting trade offer and wanted your opinions from Dylan Glendenning. PLD and Tavares for Rust and Stahl. Absolutely PLD and Tavares all day on that side. I don't even need to know the categories. I just know PLD and Tavares win that trade quite a bit. Reliable 10-team standard roto, looking for goals against average and save percentage, as I'm in 9th in both categories. Should I drop Gibson for Korpisalo and Corby is healthy? My other goalies are Vasilevsky and Leonard. That's pretty good for you. I would drop Gibson if what you're looking for is specifically goals against average and save percentage. And that being said, I actually wouldn't pick up Korpisalo. I think I'd just run Vasilevsky and Leonard. You're going to crush goals against average and save percentage. And you shouldn't have issues getting starts, I think. But I would like Korpisalo when he's healthy, just because I think that he's going to continue to be good. He's not going to be a majority starter. Maybe I think he'll be more of a split start at this point. But I would maybe just do that. I would drop Gibson though for sure, because he's dragging down whatever Vasilevsky and Leonard are getting you, especially just for goals against average and save percentage. Corey Davidson, who to pick up for next week, Eberle or Silverberg, and who to drop, Ryan Strome or Reinhart. I would grab Silverberg. I like Silverberg more than Eberle next week, although I think they both have lowish upside, but I like Silverberg's upside more than Eberle's. And then who to drop between Strome or Reinhart? I would drop Strome personally. I like what Reinhart's been doing. Marchessault or Gaudreau, points league rest of season. Probably Gaudreau, unless you really need the peripherals. As far like peripherals in the sense of you need that floor. If you don't need that floor, I'd take Gaudreau's upside all day. Not a sit start, but what are your thoughts on Doughty? He's been pretty shocking recently compared to the first half of the season. Any reason to believe he'll turn it around, or should I try and shop? I would try and shop. I don't think he turns it around. I mean, we've seen Kopitar slow down as well. I think everyone slowed down because everyone was a little inflated at the beginning of the season. So I would absolutely try to shop Doughty. I'm holding him simply because his peripherals are also really good. So even if he's a 40-point defenseman, I'm still happy with that just because the peripherals are so solid in a blocks league. Kane 88, do you think the Rangers will trade Kreider? Absolutely. I'll be furious if they don't trade Kreider. It makes no sense. He's a power forward. Power forwards tend to decline way quicker in age, or once they hit an age, they see look at the Lucic deals, look at what happened with Ben. Like, just a lot of people, when they're power forwards like him, rely on speed and strength. I mean, the guy's max points is 50 or 55 points, I don't remember, but he's not even a big point getter. Like, at least Ben won an Art Ross, or Hart, whichever one it was. I don't remember, but he had a reason. There's no reason to keep Kreider. And on top of that, he wants Anders Lee money, and it's just dumb. What will happen to the Zib, Buchnevich, and Kreider line? I don't know. I would actually I could see maybe Kako slotting in there, actually. I hope. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Hedel could also go up there. It kind of depends. Reliable 10-team Roto League. Am I crazy for thinking of dropping Landeskog for Armia? Landeskog does play much because I have Point and Matthews at center, Panarin and Kachuk on left wing with no flex. So what I would do first off, Reliable, is because the playoffs are coming up, be sure to take a look at where Landeskog would fit in the playoffs versus somebody else. So if Landeskog, for example, is adding you starts in the playoffs but not adding you starts now, I wouldn't drop. because Colorado does have a fantastic playoff schedule. So for that reason, I would I would be careful and see what the schedule is looking like in the playoffs. If he doesn't get you many starts in the playoffs and you tend to bench him pretty much all the time as well, then I wouldn't hate turning that into a streamer spot, just because again, you're not playing them as much. So that's what I'd look at. PLD is from Nathaniel. PLD is so up and down, but when he's on it, he's worth it. However, this faceoff win is abysmal. Yeah, he's been pretty brutal. Worthy of a stream to get fourth goalie. I'm almost never in favor of 4 goalies. Kind of depends on who you have, but if you have 2 or 3 starters already, I don't think a 4th goalie is worth it normally, because normally you're sacrificing a whole skater start simply for one category for a goaltender, because you're not going to be picking up someone who's going to be getting a lot of wins. You're picking up someone who's going to get a lot of saves. What's the next one here? This is from Dale Wells. I have Kovalchuk, Suzuki, and Bjorkstrand. Can I do better than this on the waiver wire going forward, heading into the playoffs? I really like those 3 a lot. I like Kovalchuk, I like Suzuki, I like Bjorkstrand. At the moment, I'm personally, I have those 3 on one team, and I'm holding them all. Suzuki, I think I actually might like Kovalchuk. I like Suzuki more for points, Kovalchuk more for peripherals. That's how I'm viewing them. And so at some point, if, say, I need to drop, I would drop Kovalchuk first, probably, because it's harder to get points. And then after that, Suzuki will get you the points, because you have PIMs, shots on goal, assists, all that good stuff. So I would probably keep Suzuki and drop Kovalchuk if you really need to, just because you can replace what Kovalchuk's been getting you recently much more easily than what Suzuki's been getting. This is from Josh. I'm up 7-0 out of 11 cats and going to make the playoffs regardless, but I'm chasing the second buy spot, so I need all the points I can get. I'll bench. Cool. Who's somebody you are absolutely targeting for fantasy playoffs? You know, this is a weird year. Hey, enjoy the aquarium, Rogerson. Love aquariums. They're so cool, especially in California. Get a little cookie, and you go to an aquarium, and all of a sudden the fish look a hell of a lot different. Tory Jones, who's somebody you are absolutely targeting for fantasy playoffs. There's nobody, honestly, this is a weird year. Like, there's nobody I'm absolutely targeting. I haven't really made that many trades this year. I would target probably Colorado players. I like Rantanen, I like Landeskog a lot. We did a playoff episode. If you haven't listened to that one, I would. There's like a whole playoff specific thing on trades, and honestly, like I think that who I said in that episode, I would still say now. I think, like, I really like Larkin, for example, as well. I know they have a crap schedule, but somebody may, if you could fit Larkin into your plan, like, Larkin's been red hot, and I think he has a really good upside and is going to cost very little. This is what Saturdays are all about. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Dropped Forsberg, got Bjorkstrand yesterday. Hard to do, but for Forsberg, oh, why am I blending your names? It's just getting buried under Hines. Yeah, I like that move, Terry. That's. I think we talked about that on Discord as well. Which, if you haven't joined our Discord, you absolutely should. Let me get you a link to put here in the chat, because if you haven't yet, we have more than 1,500 members in Discord that are all chatting fantasy hockey, and somehow it hasn't gone to hell yet. We have no trolls. Everyone helps out. It's pretty insane. So if you're not in there, you absolutely should join. So from Karsten, let me take this multi-cat monster question, YouTube member question really quick. Fiala or Kovalchuk? Fiala has been hot recently. I would actually probably, if what you're looking for is points specifically, I would go Fiala. I would go Fiala over Kovalchuk. If what you need is the peripherals, then I'd probably stay with Kovalchuk just for kind of longevity. But I do like Fiala. Actually, Montreal doesn't have that great of a schedule either for the playoffs. So that's something to take note of as well if you're debating between these, like, Kovalchuks or Suzuki's and that kind of thing. So always, at this point of the season, I'm almost always looking at my playoffs and taking a look at what my schedule is like and how players slot in and how married I should be. That's the big question mark you should always have with yourself this time of the year, is go look at your schedule and have like a list of people who are untouchables, people you know you will not be dropping, right? Like, there's people I will not drop come playoff time. And so those are kind of set spots. Then from there, you can figure out, okay, maybe I have 2 or 3 spots, and you can kind of do a mental map of, okay, these are the places where I have room, and these are the places that I'm not going to be as married to players. So like Kovalchuk, for example, is a good example of someone that I went through my schedule and said, I'm not gonna be. I'm not going to be married to Kovalchuk. I don't need to be married to him because I would be benching him a lot. He doesn't add me many starts. So Kovalchuk is someone that, yeah, while good, he has no value for me at the moment. So it's okay to drop. And no value to me, at least going into playoff season. So that's just something that I would advocate for everyone to do is right now is the time of year to always, always be looking ahead at your schedule, especially that playoff schedule. Logan Gregory, deep 14-team points bangers league, trying to round out defensive depth in the time for playoffs. Not sure the extent of Giordano injury. Do you like Severson or Hanifin for peripherals rest of season? Any alternatives? I would rather have Severson. I like him quite a bit. Now I'm scrolling through all the Roboto questions, and then if there's a button on this thing that we use to record.
And if you turn this on, you turn into a real robot. Yeah, it sounds weird.
It's some effect button, and for whatever reason, the effect button is default mapped to robot. I don't know why. What is next here? Let me find where I lost my spot. Here we go. This is from Josh Zadig Center. So kind of gave me your team where to upgrade. It's honestly, it's really hard to give advice on where to upgrade teams, especially not knowing categories and depth and that kind of thing. So, like, I would maybe try to. I mean, Beauvillier is a streamer. I would drop Miro. Miro is the one big standout, Josh, that I would drop and upgrade. I think you're fine in goal. I think you're fine in pretty much every position, to be honest. I would just drop Miro and upgrade that and use that as a streamer spot. Vishal, don't know who is starting yet, but if all three start, sit one, Riddick, Saros, Leonard, probably Saros, I think. I would probably sit Saros, get the automatic win in Riddick and Leonard, and they both tend to put up decent percentages, and Riddick has a better winning chance percentage, as you see here on the left. It is on my left to you, but my right in real life. Weird, it's mirrored. Yeah, so that's what I would do. And Saros, honestly, the Preds have just been getting shelled. What should I do with Gibby? I'm guessing we're talking about Gibson. If what you mostly count is goals against average and save percentage, I think you drop. Like, especially if you already have good goaltenders, he's just bringing down anything you're doing. The Ducks suck. They're so bad. They're so bad. So that's what I would do. Do you think trading for McDavid as a first seed is a good idea? The current McDavid owner in my league has to win out to make playoffs. Yeah, I like that. It really depends on what what he wants. But you could probably get him for pretty cheap if the person needs to win out, and they're probably a little bit desperate with McDavid being out. So I don't hate that idea of trading for McDavid as a first seed. I like it quite a bit. Would you overpay for players with good schedules? No, I would honestly the only scenario in which I'm ever happy overpaying is overpaying if you're bottom of the table, not going to make the playoffs in a keeper league, and you just really want to get the best keeper possible. Like, for example, if I were bottom of the table, I would overpay by a ton to get David Pastrnak, for example, from one of the top teams to be able to keep him next year. That's how I would overpay. But then as far as like an overpay from being top of the table or something just to get good playoff schedule, nah. Because at the end of the day, you can stream and there's no guarantees, right? So it's not worth it. You might screw up your chemistry a ton. Yeah, just not worth it. From Lauren, have Olofsson on IR and too many wingers. Was thinking of picking up Severson as a fifth defenseman. That means dropping 2 wingers. Have Mantha, Gallagher, Rust, Bjorkstrand, Coleman, Pacioretty, and Svech. Cats League points plus shots and hits. Defensemen currently are Yossi, Hedman, Provorov, and Graves. So I would actually drop Graves probably and pick up. I really like Severson, but I would personally pick up Severson for Graves. Yeah, absolutely pick up Severson for Graves. I like your winger core a lot. I don't think I'd make any changes. I think the only thing that I would maybe do is potentially at some point think about moving off Coleman. So if later on there's another defense, maybe Hanifin is a good example of someone who might be available in your league. Hanifin may be someone who's a good idea to pick up for Coleman if you're doing fine in the peripherals. I mean, you have a guy like Rust who gets you peripherals. You have Mantha who will get you shots. You have Pacioretty who will get you shots. You have Bjorkstrand who will get you shots. You have Svech who will get you hits. Other people get you hits. So I don't mind too much the drop of Coleman if you're doing okay in hits. Don't use Coleman for shots because you already have so many shot guys. So it might be worth actually picking up a defenseman who just gets you hits. So dropping Coleman and just grabbing a defenseman who hits because you already have a ton of shots from this team. Tori, who are some good trade targets in Cats League? Trade deadlines Wednesday. Okay, I got to that one. Yeah, if you haven't already, be sure to go listen to our trade deadline episode, which I'm gonna put a link to here in the chat. I'll find the link here really quick to put, because yeah, that's honestly, we gave a lot of options in there, and I personally would stick to what I said there still, and I'm an idiot and don't remember who I said, but off the top of my head I do remember, the Landeskog's and that kind of thing. Yeah, let me get you a link really quick. Has anyone been reading any good books or listening to any good music? I'll always take book and music suggestions. I'm reading The New Jim Crow at the moment, which is a fantastic book. It's very, very good. And I'd recently read Color of Law, which is a fantastic The New Jim Crow is a fantastic follow-up to Color of Law. Although I also just read Handmaid's Tale. I'm in a stretch right now of books where I don't know. Apparently, I don't like to feel joy. I've only read sad books, which is weird. Okay, so here's the link to that trade deadline episode that we did. So if you haven't already, definitely go back and watch that, because that, I think I posted it. Did I post it? I think I posted it. I did not post. Yes, I did. There we go. Okay. So let's take some more of these questions here. So who should I keep? I'm thinking of going all forwards this year. This is from Multiple Organism. 7-keeper banger points league. Stamkos, Marchand, Patches, Marner, Kane, Letang, Zibby, Teravainen, Werenski, Riley, Gibson. So I would maybe debate keeping Werenski at this point. Or I would keep Letang. 7 keeper. So I would keep Stamkos, Marchand, Patches. Well, let's do the obvious ones, right? Stamkos, Marchand, Marner, Kane, Zibby. That's 5. I would do Letang as well on top of that. And then probably Patches or Turbo. And then you have one defenseman in there. And I wouldn't keep Gibson, so that's your 7, I think. And then I think it's just between Turbo or Patches. So kind of whoever's better there. So with your earlier suggestion to bench Khudobin, maybe I drop him today to get Burakovsky for the coming weeks. I do like that, Bill. Sorry I didn't get to that earlier. Yeah, that's what I would do. This is from Daniel Gibson. Yo, David, thinking about moving Barkov, preferably for a D-man or winger. How high do you think I could sell him? I mean, shoot for the moon, man. Like, go as high as... With Barkov, like, I would aim with the Letangs. Letang is a great option, honestly. I think he's underrated this season for whatever reason. People are, afraid of injuries, that kind of thing. Letang is a good one. Hedman is a good one. Yossi is a good one. I mean, Yossi's going to obviously cost, but maybe you can add on top of it and the person will listen. But that's probably what I would do. I would look at the Yossi, Hedman, like the top 3, top 5. That's where you want to go. I mean, Barkov is an elite winger. Winger, I'm an idiot. Center. I know he's a center. And yes, that is quite the lineup of books. I forget what I read before that. I read Color of Law and then like Handmaid's Tale, and then I'm reading New Jim Crow now. And before that, I'm pretty sure my book was sad as well before that. I just don't remember what it was. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been on this weird, sad book tear. I don't know. I've enjoyed them all, though. Who to drop for long-term outlook in a standard Cats League? Eric Stoller, Drouin. I would drop Drouin, personally. Drouin just does not have much upside while Kovalchuk's playing well, and while Suzuki's playing well. There's just not a lot there. TG Stealth, play Covey today or drop and gamble on Sorelli playing today. Standard points, no hits. I really like Kovalchuk a lot. Sorelli, I like Sorelli. It just kind of, I like Covey a little bit more longer term than Sorelli. So if it's only for today, I'd play Covey. But I'm not really married to either one, to be honest. They're both good, but I like Covey more. But with no hits, I guess, with no hits, I'd actually gamble on Sorelli, to be honest. I would gamble on Sorelli. Why not? And just make it a streamer. Alex, this is from Alex Gearston. head-to-head 8-team banger league, so 8 teams, so it's shallow here. I have 2 questions. Would it be crazy to drop Fleury for Murray, Samsonov, or Korpisalo? I have Jari already. Yeah, I'd keep Fleury. I'd personally keep Fleury. The only thing I'd think about there is maybe picking up Murray and then running with the Murray Jari stack. I would think about that, but I would. I mean, it's an 8-team, right? So I would look at maybe trading though. I think Fleury still has a lot of value, so I would try to trade Fleury first if you're going to do that. Maybe some kind of 2-for-1 deal where you get a scrub for the other player, but you get 2. Then one of them actually matters, and then you can go pick up Murray because you have an empty spot, maybe. Kane 88. I keep poking Duclair with a stick, but he won't do anything. Yeah, I threw him off. I threw him out of the house. I stopped poking him. He's done. He's not done. He's so unsustainably low, but it's just not. I don't see it being worth waiting for, honestly. And then I got to the Fiala or Kovalchuk question there. Alex Gerston, another question here too. Who's a good target to sell? Mark Stone. I already have Kane and Wilson at right wing, so Stone sits often. A left wing or dual eligible player would be nice. Stone is ranked 21 in my league at the moment. Wilson's ranked 19. So I'm guessing you're talking about Tom Wilson. So I would guess you have Pims. If you have Pims, then Wilson is worth it. If you don't have Pims, then he's probably overranked at the moment. So if you're trying to trade Stone because he benches a lot, well, also Wilson has a great schedule for the playoffs. So if you want to bench Stone or trade Stone, I would aim pretty high. You might want to look at someone like Matthew Tkachuk, maybe. I'm trying to think of who else out there, left wing, right wing. Again, like check out the YouTube video. Like we have a lot of people in there, but let me think about it a little bit more. I'll say names as I go here. Nylander is maybe an interesting option. Nylander actually would be a really interesting option for you. Obviously not as many peripherals, but somewhat interesting. Man, who else? Racking my brain here. Huberdeau is an interesting option, actually. Huberdeau is a great one, who I think is unsustainably low right now, and has a ton of upside. So Huberdeau is a really interesting one as well now, which at the time when we made the video, definitely wouldn't have said Huberdeau, but because of things that have happened recently, now I would say Huberdeau. What do you think are the easiest cats to get, and what are the hardest? So the hardest... So this is actually just a question of... This is just a math question. It's which ones are the most reproducible, which ones are the most frequent, which ones are the ones you see the most. So that's pretty much how easy it is to answer it in a way. And you can look at that from a player perspective. When you build cats projections, for example, what I do is you just look at rarity in essence, like how rare is a power play point in context of the rarity of a shot on goal, right? So you take the most common thing, which is shots on goal, and then you kind of test how rare everything else is. And different things end up being more rare. Goal is pretty rare. Power play points are really rare. Power play points are definitely... And what's the smart thing to do when you're drafting, and we'll talk about this, of course, a lot during preseason as well once we get to drafting, but a lot of times the way to look at it is really like what leads to another. So like a power play point normally will lead to a goal and assist. So if you can stack up on power play points early, you're also going to get goals and assists on top of that. And so it's targeting. So power play points, I think, are the most rare. Then you have points, which are pretty rare. And then you have shots are the least hardest to get to. Although at the same time, shots, what's hard, not hard to get shots, hard to get consistent shots is my take there, or volume in shots. Hits are pretty easy to find. Blocks are actually kind of hard to find, at least on the wire. In drafts, not hard to find. Yeah, so that would be my answer there. Yeah, so pretty much what I said to Scafku there. Terry Flaps. Man, I want to say Terry Slaps so bad. I said it anyways. I shouldn't have said it, but I wanted to say it so bad. Terry Slaps. Ha! 12-man goals, assist, pin, power play point, shorthanded point. I'm not reading all those cats, but a lot of cats. I have Varlamov, Riddick, and Samsonov. Should I drop Samsonov to stream the rest of the way for an extra forward/D option in 7th at the moment? Yes. So your goaltending categories are only 3. Forget about shutouts. Shutouts don't matter. I would only target wins and goals against average there, and forget about shutouts and saves. For the most part, just tank those and go get your face-off wins, go get your hits, go get your blocks. dominate those. You're in 7th. You need to win categories here. You have to, and you've got to maximize. You could pick up a big Bango guy, and he could get you hits and blocks. That's 2 categories for what an extra goaltender might get you 1 in, especially someone like Samsonov. I would rather go and target those face-off wins, those hits, those blocks, and win more categories that way, which you have more control over, and you can get way more starts in than you would get from like a Samsonov. Drop Jari for Holtby. ESPN head-to-head points only league with only 1 goalie slot, but most of us carry 2. Murray seems to be getting more starts lately. Vasi is my other goalie. You know what? Actually, no. I would probably just keep Jari at this point. If Holtby's available, it's probably not that deep of a league, especially if you already have Vasilevsky. I really like Jari's win upside at the moment when he does play, and I think it'll be a split start for a little bit longer. So for now, Boston sucks. I would keep Jari, I think, just because, man, spit, what the hell? Degenerate. What's happening to me? Jari, I think, has more win upside right now in the near term. Holtby's been awful, but so is Samsonov. Just Washington in general has been awful at on the defensive side. Should I trade Aho plus for Rantanen? ESPN, this is from Boston Sucks as well. Oh, actually, let me go to Tori real quick. Is having 3 streaming spots too many in a 10-team league? No, 3 streaming spots is pretty much perfect. 2 to 3 is perfect, in my opinion. Should I trade Aho plus for Rantanen? ESPN head-to-head points only. I feel like Aho will slow down and Rantanen's going to pick it up. Avs also have a better playoff schedule. Currently first in my league. Yeah, I'd do that. I would do Aho for Rantanen. Aho plus for Rantanen for sure. And then Lauren, thank you. First year doing fantasy, and I've gone from 8th to 2nd and almost in 1st. Let's go. Love those stories. Yes. And then Jake gave me the Joywave suggestion. I do like Joywave. I'll have to check that out. The Tame Impala album came out, so I need to check that out. I haven't listened to that. I've been listening to Billie Eilish quite a bit recently. Really dig that album. The production on that album is just ridiculous. So pretty. It's like the best. It's like one of my top 5 albums of just listening with headphones on. I'm really excited for Fortet's new album too, which is coming out, I think, in March. Fortet's album should be fantastic. He never puts out bad music. I'm trying to think of what else I've been listening to. Been listening to some Deadmau5 recently because I missed his show in New York and I was very sad, so I've been listening to make up for it. What else have I been listening to at the gym? I don't know. It's just random stuff that I throw on. Yeah, Billy's probably the thing I've been listening to the most recently, though. Joseph Rizzuto, thoughts on Rust, Forsberg, and Bob rest of season? Should I trade any of them for Olofsson? I would trade Forsberg for Olofsson personally. I don't like what's happening to Forsberg, so I would trade Forsberg for Olofsson pretty much in a heartbeat. Pionk rest of season, love him. Love Pionk rest of season. Fantastic option. From Daryl, hi Gamby. I've got Merzlikins in 3 leagues and Jari. Question is, when Korpisalo is back in net, should I pick him up and drop Jari? Been toying with this idea. And Jari, Korpisalo's back. Yeah, I would. Should I drop Jari and pick up Korpisalo? You know, I don't hate it. I would love to have Elvis and Korpisalo instead of Elvis and Jari. I would rather have Elvis and Korpisalo for sure. Yeah, so I would do that. From Josh, what is Landeskog's trade value going forward? If you're trading for him, I think high in that league because you have hits and power play points and stuff. But it's tough. I think from a selling perspective, I'd be patient, especially if I'm at the top. If I'm on a cusp, I think I'd have a lot less patience with Landeskog and I'd try to move. And I think I'd have to sell a little bit low. But if I'm at the top, I probably I think he has decent trade value still. Not as high as you'd like, but still decent trade value. Drop Forsberg for one of Mantha or Olofsson. Ooh, that's a lot of people available, Sean. This is from Sean Leon. Well, whichever one. I said both, and he said my pronunciation was on point, so I don't know which one it was. I'm going to just keep saying Lion. I'm going to guess it's Lion because I said it might not be right. Drop Forsberg for one of Mantha. So I would drop Forsberg for either one. The question is which one. Probably Olofsson, just because he has more power play point upside. Mantha doesn't have as much power play point upside, and they sometimes shift the lines. Olofsson, I don't think he's getting put off with that top line, and I don't think he loses top power play. So I would rather have Olofsson, I think, longer term than Mantha. Just less risk. Thoughts on the Cassian suspension? Like the animal, you got it. Yes, it's lion. I love that. I actually like it more than Leon. I don't really like the football team Leon either, so that's a good thing. Thoughts on Cassian's suspension? I think it's just right. I don't know. They could have gone more, but I think 7 is. If you look at like the suspensions that have happened this season and how harsh they've been, they were pretty harsh on him, and so I'll take it. I would have been worried if it was less. Then I would have been like, nope. Shorthanded goal by Helm versus Boston. I'm telling you, like, Detroit has their number. Let me see if I refresh this. Is this live? I think it is live. It is live. Oh my god, Detroit now has a higher chance of winning. Let's go. Oh, Boston. You guys are a bunch of hacks against Detroit. It's a joke. Should I offer Olofsson for Landeskog? ESPN head-to-head currently in first. You know, actually, I don't know if I would. I would maybe keep Olofsson. I mean, Landeskog does have the better playoff schedule. Here's what I would do. I would go to your schedules and look at where Olofsson slots in versus Landeskog, and just see what happens from a start perspective alone. Like if you were to get Landeskog versus Olofsson, if Landeskog were to add, say, 3 starts or so or more, then in that case I would do that trade just because Landeskog is going to get you more. If let's say it's 1.0 average versus 1.3 average, right? If he's going to get you 3 extra starts, on average, that's 3 more points. It matters quite a bit. So that's what I would do. Because I think it's relatively even. Stream Dubnyk or Campbell for today. I would probably stream Campbell. Although they're both great options. No, I would do Dubnyk. But they don't have a coach. Eesh. Eh. I don't know. Honestly, you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, flip a coin. If we're going off money puck over here, Minnesota has 65%, 66% chance of winning if you round up. Toronto has a 57%. So I would probably do Dubnyk just because they have a much, much higher chance of winning here. So let's go to Bill the Iturondo. From what you said, it sounds like sacrificing defensemen for forwards is the norm, especially in playoffs. Next week I'll run 12 forwards, 4 defensemen, 2 goalies, because I can fit in the starts. What is the optimum ratio? P.S. If this week pans out, I could be second on Monday. Nice. I know if everything pans out for me this week in Honkrus, which is our most competitive league, I could be second. I could be second in one league, first in one league, first in another league. So I could be top 3 in all leagues, which is awesome. I'm just trying to get buys, honestly. Although my keeper league, I'm kind of getting wrecked this week. I just got very unlucky. My team didn't show up, and McDavid went out, which didn't help me. So I don't like sacrificing defensemen for forwards, but I give defensemen a hell of a shorter leash. And I like using my defensemen, especially come playoff time, for peripherals, because normally when you're streaming in during the playoffs, right, what you're going to need normally is points, and it's going to be a lot harder to find points from a defenseman. Like say you have a defensive streaming spot, or you have let's say you have a forward who gets a lot of peripherals, and then you have a defensive streaming spot. That defensive streaming spot normally will be used for points because you're already getting the peripherals from your forward. But the problem is, it's much harder to find points from defensemen than it is forward. So I'd much rather have a defenseman who gets me peripherals than a forward who gets me peripherals. So that's more how it is. It's just like taking stock of your composition. Normally, it depends on how your team is set up or your league is set up. If you have blocks, for example, I do like having one defenseman on the bench. But if you don't have those peripherals, then normally a defenseman, I like just only having the amount of defensemen that I need. And sometimes even I'll trade into a scenario where I only have the exact amount of defensemen. But it really depends kind of on there's no like optimum ratio that's like a guaranteed surefire win. Normally, though, I don't like doing more than one defenseman on the bench. That's normally my rule for all my leagues, is that by come playoff time, I don't want more than one. Unless, of course, like, you're just blessed with, like, let's say Hamilton was healthy. Like, you had Hamilton, Yossi, Hedman, you had everybody. Then that's a little bit different. But even then, if in that scenario, I would actually be looking to trade, one of those top guys away and getting a good forward. So it's a bangers points league, and I seem to be better at picking decent D off the wire. So that's fine. Like, honestly, I don't I don't hate it if like you're doing fine and you pick up defenseman off the wire, and that's fine. Whatever works for you, right? But normally what I see is like I'll see people pick up like a defenseman for the sake of having 2 or 3 defensemen on their bench, and that to me is just a waste. Normally, I would rather have forwards, just because also normally forwards will contribute to a lot more categories, but it kind of depends. Dumba dropped my banger league, worth picking up. Who would you? This is from Alex. Who would you be dropping? That's the big thing. Is who would you drop for? Who would you be dropping for those for Dumba? Sanford or Hintz for today. I would go Sanford probably. I would go Sanford. Who's at home? Terry, 12-man, keep your bangers league. I have Pasta, Panarin, Giroux, Point, lacking hits, blocks, and power play points. Can't get any serious offers for any. Who should I target, or should I just hang on to him all this late? So I would maybe move Giroux is the one I would look to move. And if you're missing hits, blocks, and power play points, Trouba may be an interesting option if you have defenseman spots, just because he can get you the blocks and the hits. So Trouba is a very interesting option there, where you might be able to get him cheap. They're going to think you're... Trouba may be ranked pretty high if you have hits and blocks. So I would target maybe Trouba. That would probably be my top target. Like, that's who I traded for. I traded for Trouba in my keeper league with a pretty similar setup. This is from Kenny. Choose 2, Fiala, Pavelski, Olofsson for tomorrow, rest of season. Fiala, Olofsson. I hate Pavelski. Pavelski, you can drop Pavelski. Don't worry. You'll be okay. From Josh, would Wheeler plus for Huberdeau and Ryan Strome be a good trade? How much would you add with Wheeler? And that's like goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, and game-winning goals. I don't know. I like Wheeler a lot, especially if you have the hits. I would personally keep Wheeler, honestly. Not that I like Wheeler more than Huberdeau with hits and power play points. So I actually wouldn't add that much on top there or anything. I think just Wheeler for Huberdeau and Ryan Strome right now, especially Huberdeau right now is a buy low. Like, they shouldn't. I don't think you should be adding for that. Okay, what's the next one here? From Carey, give Hellebuck plus Aho or Crosby. Get Eichel, Svech, and Laine. Ooh, 12-team redraft. Lots of peripherals. There are lots of cats. Man. So my only issue here would be Hellebuck. Who are your other goaltenders, Carey? I think I remember helping you before, but just remind me again who your goaltenders are, because Hellebuck is a big one to give up when he's worth 4 categories. Also, I would rather give up Aho if you were going to do it. Barkov or Aho for playoffs? Barkov. How many streamer spots in an 18 points only, 9 forward, 4 defensemen, 1 util, 1 goaltender, 3 max, 5 bench. I'm currently in first and only have 1 streamer spot. Thanks so much, Gampy. You've definitely helped me get to first. I'm glad we've helped you out. I would definitely drop Gibby for Sarah's. It depends which Sarah's we're talking about. If we're talking about Sarah Bareilles, that's one Sarah. There's Sarah I knew from high school. Would not drop for that Sarah. I'm trying to think of what other Sarahs would we drop for? Sir Connor? No. Hey, I would drop Gibby for Saros. Especially if it's just save percentage and goals against average largely, then Gibson's not going to do much for you there. And then Boston, the question on kind of streamer spots, I would try to have maybe 2, but don't force it either. Like, I don't try to force streamer spots to happen, but normally I try to aim for 2, especially if you're in first. You can just dominate. Like, you can just crush in starts, and you're already doing well enough to get to first, right? So that's what I would say. I would say try to have maybe 2, but don't force it either. Just, play it by ear. Points league, yeah. I mean, how is Gibson's? What's their averages like? What's Gibson's average versus Sarah's average? Carey, Grice will be left. I will be streaming hard. Oof. That's tough. I get I get that. Also, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Very kind of you. And unlike Brandon, I love the Canadian money, so I appreciate it more than he does. You know what? I would stay the course. I would try to actually do some kind of trade if they're interested of like Aho for like Svech and Line, or like I would maybe try to do something like that, like move Aho for 2. But I wouldn't include Hellebuck just because it's going to put you in a really, really tough spot. And I still think, Hellebuck is good going forward, but if Grice is your only option and Grice has been kind of slumping, I think that could potentially ruin your playoffs, just because if you don't stream well there, you could be in a lot of trouble. And like Eichel, yeah. And if I remember correctly, you're doing pretty well in your league. So if you're already kind of towards the top, this is just a very high risk move for you. That's not worth it, in my opinion. So I would personally stand pat. But I would go back to the owner and be like, you know what? Don't want Hellebuck in there anymore. So let's remove Hellebuck and Eichel. What would you do for Aho? And see if you can get one of Spetch or Line. That I would do. I'd be okay with doing something like that. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Tori, I feel like you could get a good haul for Scheifele. Hold, or could I go get Barkov? I already have Hubie. I wouldn't get Barkov if you already have Huberdeau. But you could probably get a good haul for Scheifele, but I wouldn't purposefully stack. Especially Florida, who's just so up and down. Not worth it. TG Stealth, is Besser worth targeting as a rest of season option and keeper? If so, is Cirelli/Hayes and Severson too much of an overpay? Cirelli or Hayes and Severson. No, that's a great pay. It's a great pay. Perfect pay. I would do Cirelli and Severson for Besser in a heartbeat. Like, would mash that button like crazy. Voracek or Duclair for today? Voracek. Duclair's been doing nada. He is, but I mean, neither of them have good games, or matchups, but I would take Voracek over. I'll take Voracek over Duclair. Then you go to the gym. Oh, did I set my? I don't know if I set my lines. Let's see if I set my lines. Let's see who I need to make decisions between either. Also, if you haven't already, I know a lot of you probably did, but hit the like button if you haven't already, and yeah, join the Discord. Follow us on Twitter at FantasyHockeyPD if you haven't already either. We post links on there to all the stuff we do. Man, did I set lines today? Let's see. Gonna hope so. Oh, why am I getting? I'm just getting slaughtered in my keeper league, but I'm doing well. So my keeper league, I have 2 wins, 124 saves, and a 932 save percentage, and I'm losing to 4 wins, 213 saves, and a 955 save percentage. This person has started 6 goaltenders and has a 955 save percentage. Come on. God, we're tied in shots. We're tied in power play points. I'm 1 away in assists. Like, this week could flip, and I could win it in a heartbeat. I just need a really good performance from the boys today. Tony D is day-to-day. Lovely. You love to see it. I should have picked someone up for today, but I forgot because I was busy. Keep Drew in or trade away, or drop. Drew in is bum. Kind of. What says you guys? Should I start Suzuki? I guess I could bench Beauvillier today and play Kopi for Suzuki. I don't want to play Kopi though because he's playing. Do I bench Beauvillier? I mean, Beauvillier has been, he hasn't really done anything recently. That's okay. I'll play Suzuki. I guess I already have Suzuki, so the smart thing here is to actually bench Kovalchuk and not double dip. But he did get 8 shots last game. He's playing against Dallas. Okay, I'll play Beauvillier for Kovalchuk. That's what I'll do. Daryl, head-to-head standard points league, drop Rust and pick up Olofsson. Nah, I'd hold Rust personally. For now. Hull versus Washington or Ekane at Minnesota. Kind of depends what you need. But I would probably go Ekane. But it kind of depends on what you need. If you need Hull, I mean, if you need points, probably Hull. If you need peripherals, probably Kane. That's probably where I'd go. Josh, who could I get for Patty Kane? Guy I'm trading with has Panarin, Huberdeau, Mika, Marner, Makar, Letang, Strome. Honestly, all of those guys should be in reach. But I would probably leave out Hubes. I'd probably go for like Panarin, Mika, one of Panarin, Mika, Marner, or Makar. Um, I mean, if you were to do Makar though, you'd have to probably add on top. Um, I would not. I mean, you can include Strome, I guess, like do Strome plus somebody, but like Strome plus Makar, Strome plus Makar isn't worth Patty Kane. That's too low. Um, yeah, I would probably target like Mika Marner or Panarin if you really want to move him away. But it's kind of a lateral thing at that point. Like Patty Kane is so good, unless you're like stocked at right wing, and that's why you're trying to move him. Otherwise, I like Patty Kane. I mean, they're kind of equal to everybody. From Lauren, tomorrow sit one Coleman, Svech, Mantha, Bjorkstrand, Rust. Um, have a great day, Terry. Thank you for tuning in. Always, I love to see the red multicat monster. Tomorrow sit one Coleman, Svech, Mantha, Bjorkstrand, Rust. If you don't need peripherals, Coleman. If you need peripherals, play Coleman, bench Mantha. Who's the better keeper between Hall or Landy? I like Landeskog personally. If it's bangers, Landeskog. If it's just if it's mostly points, probably Hall. Although I think it's a little closer than you'd think. Bobrovsky is day to day. God, all my teams are just dying. What is happening? Ugh. Winning here, that's good. And I don't need to bench anybody in this league. Sweet. I made some trades in my keeper league, and I have 60 starts every single week for playoffs. So 60 plus starts every single week, and I only bench a net 2 times in those 3 weeks, I think. And that's after all the trades and everything I did. So that's what you should, kind of try to be aiming for in a way. Although I did that without checking schedules. I just kind of grab and close up. So let's see maybe pick for tomorrow. I need to go shooter for tomorrow. Shoot a lot though. Let's see. Who's no shots that's available on here? Do I averages? Because I'm definitely need shots. Ooh, Mark Lee's been shooting a lot. He hasn't played in a while. Craig Smith. Smith hasn't been shooting as much as he used to. Kind of. He's playing St. Louis back to back. Not huge. CU is a good outside shooter. Justin Williams has been shooting a lot. Wow. Gustav has been shooting so much. Gustav might be the move here, actually. I like the Gustav move. I'm going to do that. They don't need to drop anyone. Nice. Let's just put $1 here because it's really because I have money. Why not? Now I'm just. Now you're and then we'll also try to grab tomorrow the last 14 days been a lot of top in shots people. Now I'm guessing going into tomorrow we will close. Can't make the move here against Detroit. Oh yeah, it's definitely move. Murphy's good stuff. Yeah, let's go McCann here actually. McCann and Murphy for tomorrow. I like that. Yeah, my computer's being all sorts of weird right now and slowing down. Yeah, I'm gonna do my ads here and then I'm gonna head out. So if there's any final questions, make sure to get those in. Oh, I can do that. The Rangers do play tomorrow, don't they? They do. That sucks. I hope Tony Daniels is okay. That'd be a big blow. Yeah, that would suck. I mean, at this point, I would assume he's not gonna play. Probably the smart thing to do. Way too many tabs open. Oh, you know what happened? I think actually YouTube just like froze on me. It's completely frozen. Yeah, I think it just like crashed. So there might actually be questions that I'm just not seeing. I think that's what happened. No, YouTube. Okay, YouTube is up. The streaming portal thingy is down for me. I mean, okay, let's just jump back in here. Well, that's what